everyone, welcome to the Counselors Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Miss Pauline. I'm a school-based clinical psychologist, and this podcast is about well-being and personal growth from teenagers' point of view. When we think of school, several associations come to mind, including exams, homework, grades, clubs, and also stress. School can be associated with stress due to academic pressures, deadlines, and social dynamics. Yes, school can be super challenging sometimes. That happens. So, how are we supposed to deal with it? In this episode, we will hear from one of my students who shares a story on how she deals with academic pressures and trying her best to thrive not only at school but also in her personal life.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so today I'm accompanied by jacelyn. Jacelyn, you want to
Hi.
introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is jacelyn. I'm from grade 11A of Sekolah Global Indonesia.
Yeah. Jacelyn right now she's currently doing her IBDP program. Yeah. And today's topic we're gonna talk about her academic life that I found outstanding, I think. And she's also managed to have her own social life. Okay, so actually everyone, Jacelyn, last year she had excellent result in IGCSE exams. I'm just gonna write it from over here. So actually, from all the 5 subjects that she took, she got like four A stars and 1 A. So congratulations on that. Jacelyn, how do you feel being an A-star student?
Well, I'll just say that I guess like all time I spent like working on past papers, like reviewing my notes, I guess it just paid off ultimately in the end. Like just like the nights like working on like lots of past papers, and it's just like I guess it's like proof to me that I guess hard work pays off.
So, how long have you been, this kind of student? You're very into academics.
Well, I guess since grade 6 is where it started, just because at our school, like you only start having exams from grade 6, and there was something called UN, the Ujian Nasional.
Oh, you took UN?
Yeah, because that also happened in our batch. So it's like suddenly when we're thrown into grade 6, we suddenly have exams, we suddenly have UN. So it was like, oh my, we actually have to start studying for exams. So that's when I kind of started being a bit more ambitious, I guess.
Ambitious, yeah. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how ambitious are you?
I guess an 8, I would say, but not to like a certain extent. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. So right now is the exam month for our like grade 8 for checkpoints and grade 10 for our GCSE and AS and A levels. If you can remember last year, because I observe my grade 10 students right now, they are like struggling preparing for IGCSE exams. Also for the IB diploma grade 12, they're also stressing out for the exams, which happens. For you, how was it when you prepare for the exams?
For IGCSE, I guess if I look back a year past, I just remember myself being like doing a lot of past papers, or just like late at nights I would just be on like Discord and just be calling with like my friends, like Jing An. I would be with them, we would just be doing past papers together, just asking questions about like the topics we find difficult, and asking for help from like teachers, like maybe like late at night, like sorry to disturb you sir, sorry to disturb you miss. Or maybe just like we just find like additional resources online, and we just for me like I just make notes, I just review back from the course book until I finally get it.
Yeah. So how was your sleeping schedule?
I mean, I guess during the mocks it was bad, but during the IGCSE itself, surprisingly, it was actually better, because maybe because it was starting to get closer and to the deadline. But I tried to make myself sleep at least like 7 to 8 hours like before the real exams, because like for my experience, when I slept really less during the mocks, I couldn't really do as well. So yeah, that's what I prioritize, like a lot of more sleep during the real IGCSE exam, because I couldn't really like study like a few more things additional to right before the exam, but I could at least maintain what I already know before doing the exam by taking like a lot of sleep. So that's how I can like guarantee I can retain the information I already have than trying to force something that isn't there in the first place right before the exam, like cramming like that.
Yeah. So for you, cramming didn't really work.
I guess it does a bit work, but for myself, since I like steadily progressed in my revisions, so I didn't really need to cram as much. Like for example, if my friends slept for like 5 to 6 hours before the exam, I just slept more just because I know like the crammings I did were something I already revised like a few weeks ago, so like I didn't really need to do that.
Yeah. You sound organized person.
I think it stems from the fact that I overthink a lot. So in order to combat that overthinking before like my IGCSEs, I would like, just like make a schedule. So I would like write my exam dates and then I would just plan my study schedule. For example, finish topics 1 to 4, for example, by this day, by this day. So I just plan my time that way. Like, but it doesn't necessarily mean I always stick to that schedule. And of course, like I would just be a bit lenient. Like I would put schedules that is like too ambitious for me. Like I know I could finish it if I don't procrastinate, but sometimes of course we all procrastinate. So it always doesn't go on schedule, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Just like don't be like too hard on yourself, I guess, in that way.
Have you ever been in a moment that you push yourself too hard and overwhelmed?
Yes, but I can't recall like specific moments, but I for sure have, which
Yeah.
like led me to being sick usually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So actually, talking about school, there's some stereotypes about, since we're living in Indonesia, we typically have this kind of, Asian type of education that emphasize on academic excellence. Do you also feel that? You think you're experiencing it here?
As in from school or from parents or just in
Both.
general. For example, if it's from parents, like contrary to like popular belief, like my parents, they don't really push me. It's more of like self-inflicting push. It's like my parents would always be like, what are you doing at this time? Just stop studying already. I think it's enough. So it's like it's more of like me pushing myself to become like to achieve like certain results. But my parents are not as, they're quite lenient, I would say. Like maybe if they see like a drop in my grades, they would just ask me, for example, why? As in like, are you like not feeling well? Because, and then which led to that result because, but other than that, they don't really push as much, and they're like, oh, you have to get this grade for like this subject. Like no, they just try to understand like where I'm coming from. Like if I can't do, for example, like for like computer science, like right now, they'd be like, oh, since it's a new subject for you, then it's understandable that you get a certain grade. But from school, I guess it's like it's not like explicitly mentioned, but like sometimes I do feel like there's like certain expectations placed on me, but I don't, like if it's possible, I try not to think too much about it. Especially like since last year, I was like really stressed about what IGCSE subjects to take because like some teachers were like, oh, you could go take the sciences, you could take that, blah 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 blah, because your scores are good. So it got me like really thinking, like, do I really want to take like 7 subjects, for example, like they said, because I can do it, like they said. But sometimes it's, for me, it's easy to be swayed from what other people say than just like following what I actually want. That's why, like, if you see from my IGCSE subjects, I didn't really take any sciences just because it was like from like an advice I got from my dad. Because when I asked him, should I take any sciences for my subjects? Because I have to ask my parents, obviously, because for my career choice. And they would go like, the first question they asked me were like, why would you want to take sciences? Like that was the question, which is kind of weird because usually what you would expect from Asian parents is that they would push you for the IPA route or like the science route, because there's like this conception, which is, I guess, kind of true. If you take the IPA route, like for college, you can take like either a science route or like a business route. So it's like a safe option, like I would say. But like my parents, they don't really push that way. It's more of like, my dad just said this, which actually like made like a lasting impact to me. He was like, if you're going to take business either way, why would you suffer in high school and take sciences? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking. I was like, oh yeah, that's true. And then I just made up the decision.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just join econs and business for my GCSE.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because I think, yeah, also start back then, since I was your age. Yeah, people have this idea they wanted to go to IPA or sciences stream just because, like, it makes you look like smarter, or like, yeah, it, like you said, it can take you to more options in college. It's like a common thing in my area that you even like pay for the school to get you into the IPA stream, IPA class, even though you're, and they categorize people to go to IPS or social and then science based on the school rank, because back then we still have the rankings based on the subjects. And that time actually, I was supposed to be an IPA class, but I didn't feel like I fit in. And then when I made the decision to switch to IPS, like, people were like, why? You're like wasting your, I don't know, your talent or something. Okay, yeah, that's enough about my high school experience. Back again, yeah, and you mentioned about parents. The common, there's this term called like tiger parenting. If you are parents, if you study psychology, maybe you're familiar with the term. Tiger parenting refers to like typical Asian parents who push their kids to excel in academics. So they enroll their kids to tuition like after school, and then like right away after school they go to tuition until late night. And they did very well in exams. What do you think about this phenomenon?
Yeah, like I've said before, I guess I don't think tiger parenting is like a good way to like motivate like their kids. Like, for example, like in my personal case, right? Just because like I don't get like that much pressure from my parents, but I still try to achieve as much as possible by myself. But and you've mentioned tutoring, right?
Yeah,
I think tutoring is more of like a common thing, especially in Asian countries. It doesn't really come from only tiger parents. Like my mom, she's enrolled me in like various lessons. For example, like I used to be enrolled in like piano lessons or vocal lessons, not anymore. But and also like I have math lessons like since grade 1 until like right now. So like it's been like a long time. But it's not the tutoring, like in my opinion, it's just there to help students like to understand well. But like I think to a certain extent tutoring is fine as long as it's not too long, as in like it takes too much of the kids' time until they can't like pursue other passions. Like in my case, I would have like tutoring probably like twice a week for like an hour or like an hour and a half max, and that's probably it. Just as long as it doesn't take up like your personal life, I think tutoring is fine like that. And yeah, that's
and you still get to do what you enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. So what extra lessons are you still taking right now?
I am only taking math like as of now, but I used to take like only either piano, and the piano thing didn't work, and then the vocal and it didn't work, and then I used to take Mandarin also at first grade until 9th grade, which is during the pandemic, and it was like online classes, right? And it didn't really work for me, so I just stopped for my Mandarin lessons. That's it. So I just take math.
Yeah, okay. So actually you still have the time to do the stuff that you want. Or right now you're doing IB. Tell me a little bit about your experience in IB.
I don't know, let's just say it's like, I'll just say basically my weekends I just spend my time working on school stuff basically. My weekends. And then like also I guess at certain times like during the weekends, not like 24/7 I'm just doing my work, but of course I have to go out at times, because if you're constantly doing work, it doesn't really be good for you, I guess, because I'm just staring at my laptop screen for like hours and hours. And even during school, like most of the time I'm always on my laptop screen, because like usually teachers would give assigned tasks, and they're now done more in a digital way, because maybe like compared to grade 10 we would get more worksheets to do like on paper, but now it's more like digitalized. So I guess it kind of deteriorates my health a bit. I can feel like my eyesight getting a bit worse due to like the constant. But like for IB, I guess the time management part. Well, I'll just be honest. Since grade 11, my time management is not as good as in 10th grade. Maybe it's because of the bit of the burnout since like my grade 8, grade 9 days. But I still try to manage because if I want to catch up on work, I have to do it on the weekends. Of course, it doesn't apply to every student. You can have fun in the weekends, I guess. But as long as during the weekdays you really like grind like your work, you finish it during the weekdays so you can hang out in the weekends, then that's totally fine. But it just doesn't really work on me, I guess, in a way, because I'm just used to like a nichil work. What's it like doing work little by little during the weekend? So because there's this mentality that I have. It's like if I don't do work, I feel guilty, and then if I'm watching something, I'm just like I could be doing work right now, and it's worse at home because you have all the tools to do work, but you're not doing it. So it's like selective. They're just like not doing work. So if I go out, I'm just like okay, at least I don't have my laptop, so I can't do work right now. So that's the time where I relax. But at home, it's just like the constant pressure, like oh my laptop's here, my books are here, all I just need to do is just to start. So it's like it's kind of terrible, but it's my personal opinion. It doesn't apply to everyone. So I guess it's good to have a work-life balance or like a school-life balance, but sometimes like for me personally, just because I'm in IB and like a lot of tasks I have to do, like there's also things I have to sacrifice. Like for example, like in the weekends, like when I have to like, for example, like when my mom and my sister they're like hanging out, like sometimes I can't join them just because I need to finish my work and stuff like that. So it kind of takes up my personal life, if I'm
I kind of agree with you. Sometimes if we want to stand out in particular area, we have to sacrifice other area in our life. Okay, so for you, since you mentioned about ambition, that means you have a purpose, right? Like goals, target, that makes you kind of want to pursue it and you're ambitious about it. For yourself, what is your goal?
I mean, I guess it's kind of weird that like my ambitions they only stop at grades, I guess, because like if I look at the long term, like maybe some people would think that I have like a lot of like goals in the future, but as of now, I don't really have anything planned yet. I haven't done any research yet, so I can't really say for sure. So I guess that's one thing that's kind of weird. It's like ambitious, but like for what? There's like nothing in the long term. So yeah, but I just know like a specific route, maybe like the business economics route, something like that. But something a bit too ambitious, not really, because like now, for example, like after a test, I would just be like, okay, that's it. It is what it is, like that, gitu. So it's kind of contradictory what I'm saying, but yeah, that's how I feel.
So only for the grades.
Usually, yes, but if I can't, because usually, in order to get the grade, you have to understand first. So I'm just like, okay, maybe I have to enjoy the subject first. Then if I enjoy it, I can study it better, and then if I study it better, then I get a better grade. So it's just like that route.
Okay. And how do you feel whenever you receive the grades that you expected?
It depends subject per subject, like, per se, okay? So if it's like a hard subject, if I get like a 5, I'm just like fist bumping, I'm like, yeah. But if it's like, maybe for example, like a subject like I really like, or like something I know I could do well, for example, like business, right? For example, if I get lower than expected, I'll just like think about like my mistakes and I'll just make a mental note of it. Then for the next unit test, I can just improve upon it. That's probably it. I'll think about it though. I'll think about it for a while, and it will lead to me overthinking. But sometimes I have to like put an end to it, right? Because even if I ponder about my bad grades, things really change unless I study, or like I study more and I improve more in the near future, right? So I can't really do anything, like even after a test.
Because I've consulted different types of students with their needs, and what I found make different from students who is very into study and not is the motivation, the goals. Because for some students they don't have the goal like target. That's why I keep asking them, okay, what's your target this semester? Good grades is just so general. Be specific about it. What do you want? Like C, pass, D, or A star. So what suggestion would you give to someone? Maybe let's say if you have a friend who doesn't have goals like certain grades that they want to achieve, what recommendation would you say?
What recommendation? Personally, you're right. I don't really have like day to day. I can't say I'm like fully motivated. I'll be like, okay, let's do this. Of course, there are many days where I'm just simply unmotivated to do things. And especially for someone like, I don't really, for example, like for people that don't have ambitious goals, especially it's really hard for them. So for example, maybe they're having maybe in general, they're not really doing good in that subject, right? So maybe there's like this mindset where they would go, even if I study, I'll get a bad grade, right? But something is really hard to be positive in a way that you can't really see like how you're gonna study and how you're gonna like be better at things, right? So it's hard to say like how to motivate them. But like sometimes for me personally, I just take like the little things and make them as my motivations. Like for example, probably I'd be like, before I study, let's make this. For example, let's make my iced coffee. So I'll just drink that while studying. So that's my motivation. So I get going, because usually for studying, right, it's the thought of getting up, opening your laptop, opening your books, and doing work is what's hard. So for example, you're scrolling on your phone, you're like, I have to do work, but you have to physically go there and do your work. So sometimes it's like a one step at a time process. So it's like, okay, you just trick yourself into thinking, okay, let's just open my laptop. Let's just see where it goes. I'll just open all my tabs. And once, because if you have everything prepared for you, it's easier for you to start, because literally everything is there. And like personally, right, I get really distracted on my phone because there's like this game I've been playing. But what I would do is that I would just shut off my phone, so I can't open it literally. And then also like on my YouTube, on my Safari, right, I would get distracted, for example, by YouTube. So I'll just block YouTube entirely from my Safari, and then I would just go, okay, I literally have nothing else to do but to study. So that forces me to study, because like that's like the last minute situation. It's like, okay, there's literally no other solution but to be really bored, that the only way to entertain yourself is to study. So that's what I would do.
Wow, okay.
The extreme method.
Yeah, extreme method. Yeah, so I think that can be a suggestions for people who struggle with managing distraction, because I've heard this a lot. Phone is the number one distraction, number one reason why my students procrastinate. And for you try to minimize the trigger. If you think like YouTube is tempting, then you can block from your browser. And how do you open it back again? You just block it?
Of course, which is kind of funny because there's Google Chrome, right? I can just open my YouTube from there. But of course, I try to minimize it. If I realize it, I'm just like, okay, I'll just quit Google Chrome, and I just pretend it doesn't happen, and then just do my work again. But of course, I can't guarantee it 100% works. Sometimes I open it again, but sometimes of course, it's a never-ending struggle of like trying to be focused, because it's really hard to be focused. Like, or sometimes what I would do is I would listen to my music from another app, so I can't not another app, I mean like another device, gadget. So if I want to manually change my song, I can't change it on my laptop, because if I change my music on my laptop, I'd get distracted by other things, and then I'll open other things, so it will ultimately I won't study. It's really like avoiding any distractions. So that's like, I guess, my solution for like people having distraction problems.
It is you who have the control, not like the social media or phone who's controlling you, but you control it yourself.
And worst case scenario, I deactivate my media accounts during exams. That happens every year. That's like the worst case scenario.
Maybe you're gonna do that next year.
I'm gonna do that soon.
Exams. Minimize triggers and control it. Don't be controlled by your phone. You have to hold that control. Okay, guys? All right. Okay. Last thing maybe I want to ask you is that how do you manage your emotional health with the academic pressures?
I guess in order to manage myself, I guess the number one concern for me is probably overthinking. I combat my overthinking by maybe talking it out to someone else, or usually I just talk it out with my sister, and then or not, I'll just write the things down like I'm worried about, and then like the solutions I can do in order to stop myself from overthinking in the first place. So that's why like my to-do lists are like very very long. It's just like it's like a collection of me overthinking and like the ways I have to solve it, and then I just write it there. Or for sometimes, because the last time I remember crying over a grade was back in 7th grade.
Oh,
So
wow.
the times I ever cried something related to school was probably not because of like school grades. It's more of like during my student council days. But
Okay.
not anymore, of course, because I'm not in student council.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, because you have a lot of tasks to do, and you deal with people also, right? That time.
So it was like a combination of like schoolwork and then like additional outside of work, because like now like I'm also into clubs, right? And then of course in semester 1, especially during like the peak time of like the clubs when they were like activating, and like for example for the Beacons Club we were like making our own business, and especially like the workload just gets piled up, so sometimes it does get a bit overwhelming, and then I overthink. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, actually, one more question that come up in my mind, since you're not only dealing with textbook and grades, but you are active in clubs like the debate clubs and Beacons, which is business and economics club, and also she was the vice president of student council last year. People dealing with people, of course sometimes they're not like you. Maybe you have like high standards of doing stuff, maybe they didn't. How do you deal with those kind of friends?
I mean, I can't recommend my way, because sometimes, because people and teachers, they always mention it, like even during PTCs, my mom also mentions it. It was like, you're too perfectionist at times, because you have like these high standards of like people, but like if they fail to achieve it, then you just go into this mode where you're just like handling everything alone, because like that's why in the first place sometimes in my opinion I give low standards. Like I'm just asking you for the bare minimum, but like if you can't even achieve that, sometimes I just take matters to my own hands and I just do them myself, which is kind of bad. That's why I don't really in team like group works. Like usually I'm the leader. That's completely fine, but sometimes it's like there's like a lot of workload that comes with it, just because if things don't go my way,
Yeah.
then it kind of like, it doesn't piss me off, it just kind of makes me think about it. I'm just like, are we sure we're really doing this? Like we can be doing this something better, but like sometimes you have to just let go of some things. Sometimes things are just like uncontrollable. I can't really what's it called, not mansplain, it's mismanaging, micromanaging everything. So
Yeah.
I guess in a way it just adds to my stress. So sometimes I'm just like, it is what it is, I just let it be. I just let them do their own thing, then, because it's a collective work in the end, like group work. So
Yeah. I think that's a good side of you. You're being flexible, because sometimes perfectionists, the strength is they can do their job really well, but the weakness is when dealing with other people. It's hard, but you're quite flexible on deal with people.
I guess so, because I try to give them, for example, if I'm the leader, I'd give them tasks I know they can do. So like, it's not I'm asking a lot from them, I'm just asking them to do their part, and then with all these small parts, like collectively it will become the group work. It'll just become a part of the bigger piece, like
Yeah. And soon after this, you're gonna do your group work.
yeah, group work.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you so much, Jacelyn, for sharing your stories. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you enjoy our contents. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.